Hello Vinaka, you've tuned into Talk Business, and to all our viewers who are joining us from around the region, welcome to the show. This week on Talk Business, we travel from Fiji all the way to the Solomon Islands. We're here in Honiara covering certain ventures that have gained ground as leading agro businesses. First up, Solomon Tropical Products, one of the country's largest coconut oil producers, who have partnered with local villages in exporting high-quality coconut oil and also providing income generation for many that now depend on the tree of life. Often tagged as the cultural heart of Melanesia, the Solomon Islands is a true testament to cultural diversity. Discovered by the early Europeans and colonized by the British, the story of civilization here is quite similar to Fiji. A population of under 600,000, the country has faced its own share of challenges over the years, be it political, environmental, or economic. But the island nation is now making a steady comeback. Gold, timber, and palm oil are the major exports out of the Solomon Islands, but coconuts are now considered the economic lifeline of the country. The Solomon Islands produces more than 600 million coconuts per year, probably nearer to 800 million. But many of these nuts are inaccessible, and only around 220 million nuts are processed as copra. The Solomon Tropical Products is a company which is trying to change that. Working closely with rural communities in Guadalcanal and other provinces, the company is hoping to increase production by empowering villagers to mill their own copra. One such village is Manakiki. About 3 hours drive west of Honiara is the picturesque coastal side of the island, and it's nothing like the city. Natural, serene, seemingly untouched, thatch houses and green fauna. It's surprising that a slice of paradise exists just hours away from the city's mayhem. You can even see the other islands to the east. Our team's arrival to Manakiki village is signaled by the iconic blowing of the conch shell, a trademark of most Pacific nations. Here homes are all made from thatch roofs due to the harsh elements. It's as if time has stood still, and then a surprise greeting by traditional warriors. This building is where the village mill will be placed. The tiny tech mill will produce high-quality coconut oil, much to the convenience of villagers here. There are around 60 plantations in this village alone, and about 1,000 plantations in the entire entire district. The villagers ensure their plantations are neat and nuts are easy to find. Here, men and women work hand in hand to produce copra. Whether it's gathering coconuts or splitting them in half, it's all about teamwork. In come the skilled copra cutters, a dying skill in fact in many Pacific Island countries as the copra industry meets its sad fate. But here in the Solomons, these villages are just warming up. For those like Joseph Tausuli, it's not just about the sustainable income, but about lifting the standard of living and making a difference in the lives of villagers.
Here, when we want to take a copra to Honiara, we have to pay $50 a bag of copra, for a bag of copra. But that doesn't stay there for, every time. It just depends on the price of the copra. If the price of the copra went up to $4, they can go up for $60 per bag. So it really cost us here to take a copra down to Honiara. But when we go into this one, we will see that it will cut down our cost and we will benefit more than what we get out from Honiara when we go into partnership with STP here.
When the village copra mill comes online, the opportunities to embark on commercial ventures will be plentiful.
It will be like a economical zone. That's how we call it. Yeah? So we will build up, when we go along with the mill, we will build up shops, we will build up things that people will come and buy from us here. So the benefit side of it, I will see it will be very great, and all the families here will benefit out of it when we go into partnership with STP.
Currently, villages here in Manakeki provide 60 bags of dried copra to the Solomon Tropical Products every month. Once they start their own mill here, it'll need about 100 bags of copra per day to produce coconut oil efficiently. That would mean increasing production of copra by 10-fold. The only way around it is buying copra from surrounding villages to complement the supply.
We know already that we cannot supply the mill, every day, every month. So, but we need the mill to work every day in order to generate more money into the community. So what we're looking at is, as I mentioned to you, we need to work in partnership with other communities so that they can supply their copra to us in order to run the mill. And they will also have benefits out of these things, because we will not only be producing oil, but we will also be producing meal run for the pigs and all these things. So I think the community will benefit out of that. By supplying the copra to us, we buy them, and then at the same time, if they want meal for their pigs, and they can even get it out from us as well. So
now the coconut meat is ready for the dryer. Villagers need to carry bags of copra to the nearest dryer.
Seen a lot of improvement now, because they also initiate a lot of focus mainly on the increasing or try to improve the standard of living, especially at the family level. So a lot of the children, Vietnamese, they are attending school now, not like 3-4 years ago. People are just staying, they are not involving a lot with education, especially the ones that are small kids. They are not very concerned so much about education. So
So you've seen this change after
Yes,
after going into partnership, after starting up with this copra business, huh?
exactly.
Canal. At first glance, you'll realize he doesn't look like your typical Solomon Islander. That's because he has Indian heritage from Fiji. His father moved across back in 1947 after the war, and 3 generations later, the Chotu family now call the Solomons their home. What's also special about this chap is that his family is a pioneer in the coconut industry. The good old coconut water runs in his veins, and 50 years on, he still runs the family-owned copra dryer. Jack works closely with the Solomon Tropical Products Company, supplying high-quality copra for crude oil production. He's also part of the company's Village Mill Development Project, which the European Union-funded IAC project supports. From merely drying coconut flesh, today Chotu can produce coconut oil as a result of this tiny tech mill.
I sell my copra to him in a better price. He buys it at a premium price. He always gives me about 50 cents more than a kilo from all the other buyers I sell my copra to. And in that one, it really boosts me a little bit. That's why you can see at the background, I got my house building at the beach side there, and I even got my cars this time. All these things didn't happen if I didn't really join into with SPT.
Jack supplies around 40 to 50 bags of copra per month, which is equivalent to a ton of copra and also translates to about a half a ton of coconut oil. Like most businesses in the manufacturing or processing sector, he also faces the challenge of soaring diesel prices. But that's now about to change with the steam boiler in place. The entire mill is run on steam.
With this new invention that we got here for the crude oil, which is steam generating project, with this steam, I'm planning to run a generator with it. Now, to run a generator with it, I won't need fuel. I don't need oil, I don't need fuel, because I'll run it with the steam generator. But what I need is just another motor to attach on this machine to put the generator to work.
With the renewed interest and potential in the coconut industry, the 60-year-old grandfather intends to leave a sustainable venture behind for his future generation. This will now mean reviving his 50-acre coconut plantation.
When I thought the coconut industry gonna die down, we didn't really go into replanting. Now that we start this virgin oil and we saw a different motive, and now with this crude oil coming and we saw a different motive of income, now we're starting to, well, I started about last year, 2 years ago, we started doing some replanting. The replanting I plant, I got them like mixed hybrid, so it won't take 5 years, it'll take about, I'm looking at 3.5 years, and they should bear fruit. They call this the hammer mill. With the hammer mill, that's where we put the copra, the dry copra. The dry copra goes in here, it gets all crushed up into tiny bits and pieces. So when we hammer the copra, we bring it to the kettle. This is kettle, what I'm putting my finger in is the kettle. We put all the crushed copra in here. All this copra will go into the screw press, which is under the kettle. From the kettle, all the crushed copra come into the screw press, which is this one here I'm pointing. From the screw press, it dribbles out here as oil to the oil tank.
tiny tech mill can crush about 12 bags of copra per day, and that's about 500 liters produced in just one day.
This is the filter I'm holding. All this white thing is the filter cloth. So the oil is pressurized into all these filter cloths to purify the oil before it goes into this drainage, and from this drainage it goes to the tank. So all this oil filterized, going to that drum. From that drum we funnel it into a different drum, and that's how ready to market. If all the farmers make good quality copra and they can demand a price, we can even control the price of export. Because at the moment, all the copra that goes into the export are really reject copra, I should say. So when the Philippines buy those copra, they don't care what they're buying, so they buy it at a very low price. So when they buy that copra, we can't demand because we know that copra is bad. But if that copra was top grade, everybody make top grade copra, we can put our foot down and say, no, we want this price. And for sure people are going to buy it at our price because it's the best copra.
The man behind this vision of the village mill development project is John Vorrath. His heart is set on the Solomon Islands. In fact, it has been since he arrived here in 1995. John initially ventured out into a logging business, but it soon collapsed following the tension. He then decided to turn his focus to coconut oil, and life has since taken on an interesting twist.
I dreamed of the day that we could have these tiny tech mills in the village, so the village people could then have the benefits that we have in town of having 240 power. And that dream has been realised by the funding from SPC. They've funded us into these tiny tech mills, and these two tiny tech mills with a power generator will transform a village from no economics into a total economic package.
To help him realize that dream has been his son, Bevan Vorrath. He has been the force behind the expansion of the business from a mere 20,000 litres per month to the whopping 300 metric tons of coconut oil that the company now produces. And the expansion plan has largely been focused on empowering villagers in the Solomon Islands to produce their own coconut oil.
We saw that we could use the first mill that we bought in 2003, that could be used in the village. That mill in the village would increase the income of the village by producing the copra into coconut oil, value adding the product, and then we would purchase the oil from them as a backup guaranteed market. The volume at the village level would never be satisfactory to export out of the country, so there needed to be a link between the village production and the world export market. And our company saw that we could be that link, but we could also provide or supply them with a mill that was suitable for them to use, not overly big that they didn't understand it, but at the same time it wouldn't be so small they would lose too much money.
Enter the European Union funded Increasing Agricultural Commodity Trade or IACT program. Bevan made an application for funding of these tiny tech processes, and IACT saw its potential not only as a sustainable source of income for villagers, but also the potential for diversification.
With the provision of the tiny tech mills, we hope to empower the people in the rural areas to have a better level of income through downstream processing of copra. And hopefully with the installation of the biodiesel generators to run the mills in the villages, they also provide light for study, for household use.
The idea is to get villagers to run the mill on their own, produce excess oil for electrification purposes, and become self-sufficient.
So every month they'll get a visit from us to know the generator is working good, to see if there's any other constraints or issues about the production side of what they do in their local environment, and we'll coach them, teach them, or supply the spare parts if anything was to break down. That backup support is vitally important because they don't have that. They can't buy from the world. We have the network to be able to buy from the world and import, and then we can then channel it down to them and make sure that their production keeps working.
These mills have also been set up in villages in the outer islands. The company also runs a small shipping service to assist farmers transport their copra to the mainland. The steam boil that Jack uses at his plantation will in the future replace the diesel generators that have been installed in the villages. Bevan admits it hasn't been easy for the company to take this risky path.
We've had this goal, this dream for 10 years. We've never given up on it. We've had some hardships along the way. World commodity prices have been severely hit in our company, but we've never given up. And one of the things that we've stuck to is our dream, our goal. And that attitude has sustained us to where we are today.
Back in 2009, the Solomon Tropical Products Company embarked on becoming an independent power producer, following the success of its biofuel project. The company will now very soon begin providing electricity to the national grid in the Solomon Islands through these generators that run on coconut oil. It will need about 160 metric tons of coconut oil per month as fuel for the national grid. The excess will all be exported.
So the more mills that I can put around the provinces making 60 metric tonne a month or 40 metric tonne a month, depending on their social environment and how they wish to work in the village, the more that goes out there, the more that we can be sustainable internally.
Value adding has been a crucial component of the company's success. Not only does it export coconut oil, it also produces a range of washing and bathing soaps. For those whose livelihoods depend on the coconut industry, it's more than just a bread and butter issue. One that goes to the very core of their existence.
And that's all for this week. We'd love to hear from you, so do send us an email, talkbusiness@fijitv.com.fj. Remember, you can catch me on the net on our YouTube channel, www.youtube.com/talkbusiness, as well as our Facebook page, www.facebook.com/talkbusiness. And if you have a Twitter account, follow me, Rachna@FijiTV. That's all for this week. Join me again, same time, same place, on Fiji One. Until then, have a productive week.
Bien, otros.